Ladies and gentlemen, due to reasons beyond our control, the footage from this week's episode has been lost in the ether. With help from neo-ancient aliens, we were able to revive the following.
Welcome everybody to another episode of the Time and Space Podcast. Today we have our first Mediumsode. That's right, you heard it. A Mediumsode. We are taking an episode and a mini-sode and we're smashing it together to make the first Mediumsode. With me, as always, is Francis Donald, segment Sean Tandy, and our guest tonight is Josh Davey from Inside Lacrosse. We are thrilled to have him participate in our first Mediumsode. Thanks for being here with us, Josh.
I'm fired up to be here, man. It's good Friday night. I'm excited to see these faces.
Yeah. So we're going to start out as we always do, at least in episodes, with a fit check. And I'm going to throw it to segment Sean first. What are you wearing tonight, Sean?
Gentlemen, tonight I have my, it's a little cold out. It's the coldest day thus far this winter. It's about 0 degrees here in New York. So I actually have a nice cardiac Cuse shirt on underneath a nice vest I have, and I have my trusty Adidas cap on too. I got this on a golf trip down in North Carolina, so keeping it light tonight, but keeping it warm too, because it's a cold one out there, gentlemen. So stay warm.
It is. It's chilly. It's definitely chilly.
Is it really 0 degrees?
It's close. It's not 0.
With the wind chill. With the wind chill. That's what they're saying. Wow. I woke up, it was -2.
Dang.
I don't want to.
We got rain. We got rain here in San Diego, so it's a big deal. It's a big deal.
I was just going to say I do not want to hear about the weather in San Diego right now. Josh, what are you wearing tonight?
So I prepared because I'm an avid listener already, and I know Coach Hirsch and his background with Lululemon. So I have my Lululemon. I think it's called a dad hat. I think is what it's called. Hiding my my overgrown hair. And Jordan, if you could tell, also I have some some payos growing in here. I need a haircut really bad.
Yeah.
And then I have my Lulu Henley, and then so I'm keeping it nice and business casual on the top, and then I think I have they have a hole in them from my Donjoy knee brace, but they're like Lynchburg Lacrosse practice, like breast cancer practice shorts or something. So
nice.
Trying to keep it classy up top and comfy on the bottom.
Yeah.
Well, shout out to the Hornets.
Yeah. Zoom.
Let's go.
Zoom casual. Zoom casual.
Zoom casual. I like that.
Big man, what do you got?
I got on a new purchase here. We got the Legend hat. Legend is the official sponsor of the Time and Space Podcast, except they don't know it. And so Jordan and I have we've bought into the whole Legend hat brand, headwear brand. And so they just released this one. It was a special edition. I think there were like 10 of them. It's got the Nerf logo, the legend word mark on the old school Nerf logo, all the way around. It's got some yellow back here. It's just, it looks like something that they would wear on Saved by the Bell, basically, which is why I picked it up. Also really proud to wear this hoodie. Story behind the hoodie. A couple weeks ago, I get a big squishy package from East Avenue in Rochester, New York. Turns out it was a hoodie from our coaching staff at Nazareth Lacrosse Players Association. Jordan and I, of course, are proud alums of Nazareth College and the Nazareth Lacrosse program, and still stay very involved with Coach Randall, who was an early guest Thanksgiving week. So thanks, Coach, for this. Super stoked that it's got the bucket hat on it, the bucket helmet, right? I mean, that's the best feature ever. So keep that going. That was like the original Naz helmet back in the 80s. Also want to shout out Pete Riley. Pete Riley is an alum of Nazareth who has been listening or watching the show ever since we started. And he started sending Jordan and I really, really positive feedback via text, and just really appreciative of what we all are doing. Sean, Wayne, Jordan. And so, Pete, we appreciate you for listening. We appreciate your support, and your kind words are what make it, exciting to keep doing this week after week.
Great call. So true.
it.
So true. Thanks, Pete. So I am wearing also a Legends hat that was purchased well after we decided we wanted Legends to be our unofficial sponsor. And so I'm wearing my Legends hat. And
this is different than this is not like Scott Hochstadt Legends brand thing, which is also like San Diego. This is a different Legends brand. Because I like both of your hats a lot. I was gonna make the comment already, so I gotta get a link or something.
So this is so the difference is it's Legends with just a D, no S, right?
Plural,
those guys are plural. There's more of them. So
yes, more Legends.
There's only one Legend in Cleveland, Ohio, and that's this hat brand.
That's right.
I love it.
That's right. I think I misspoke, so I apologize to our unofficial sponsor.
It threw me. The S threw me.
Yeah.
So I had to make sure I was clear on that. Cool.
But I do have a bunch of Legends on my shirt tonight. This was a gift. It's like a Dream Team last name T-shirt. So I thought that would be a fun one to wear this evening. Yeah, that's it.
Who's Ewing?
Stop.
Shout out to all the Knicks fans out there.
I want to introduce Josh a little bit. So Josh works at Inside Lacrosse, and we'll get to that in a second, kind of his role at Inside Lacrosse. It's one of the most major publications and media outlets in our game.
The source of the sport.
The source of the sport.
Love it.
So Josh actually played for me at Lynchburg for a year. I recruited him as a high school senior. He was a prolific point guard at Owings Mills High School. And that's what I remember most about Josh was that he could ball. And I knew we'd be able to talk basketball when he got to school, which we did. Josh and I have maintained a relationship over, I guess, 11 years. I've known Josh since he's 17 years old, and it's been really great to watch him grow and get his own family and continue to stay live in the sport. And he's really got his finger on the pulse here. So we're really pumped to have him today. One thing I know about Josh is he fought through some adversity in his career. He had a pretty significant knee injury. I think it was your ACL, right? Is that
Yep.
Right? So he tore his ACL, and that was after I had been done coaching. But what was cool was obviously you keep tabs on the guys you coached, and Josh went from a pretty serious injury to making his way back into the rotation a little bit, and he was a big man up guy for Lynchburg, and I believe a captain as well. So just very proud of Josh, knowing him and what he's done in his athletic career and in his personal life and as an adult. It's pretty cool. And it's funny, and Francis, you could get this too. Like when you coach kids, college kids, and you're a young coach, the distance in age feels much greater than it actually is. So you're 23 coaching 20-year-olds, and you feel like you're 33 coaching 24-year-olds. That's how it feels, at least at that age. So I talk like Josh is like so much younger than me. He's really not, but that's how it feels, I think. Josh, tell us really quick, give me one really good Lynchburg college memory. I think I love reminiscing, right? Give me one great college memory on the field, off the field, something that just sticks out to you and that you feel that defines my college career.
Well, first of all, I appreciate you saying all that. I look back on our 1 year together very fondly as well, and certainly look up to you a lot, Jordan, and have really great memories of playing for you. A couple specific ones in mind I'm sure we'll get to in a little while. On the field, off the field, Lynchburg is such a special place. It's, Coach Kudelka is an incredible leader, and it's so funny because you pull up that big hill, right? Lynchburg, the hill city, and it almost feels like you're at camp. Like almost every single kid on campus plays a sport. Like there are very few kids who go there who just kind of go there to go there, right? The field hockey team is nasty. The basketball team was okay. The men's and women's soccer team were awesome. When you think about one moment, I mean, from the on the field standpoint, I guess it is kind of off the field. My senior year, we made it to the Elite Eight, which was awesome. We ended up losing to Stevenson, which was, I'm from Owings Mills, Maryland. just like kind of a suburb of Baltimore. Stevenson is in Owings Mills, like literally a mile down the road from the house I grew up in. So my last game ending there was, and I played so bad, was strange. But there's so many good memories. It's hard to pick them. On the field, you know, that beating Roanoke at Roanoke in the NCAA tournament after losing to them earlier was pretty cool. My senior year, I started a little bit towards the end after Pat Oram got injured a little bit, and then stayed on man up for a little while. But my brother was a starting goalie too. He was 2 years younger than me. So playing with him was one of the things that was definitely one of the coolest experiences. I remember beating Roanoke and running to the goal to get at him. And then, you know, you only have so many guys you can dress. So they're kind of all up on that little like hill at Roanoke's field. And you just go right from the goalie right to that hill to like dap those guys up who aren't allowed to be dressed. And those are the coolest parts, right? The bus rides, singing the national anthem on the bus rides, going back. I mean, there's a million memories on the field. Just, you know, handed Sydney, Eddie Blinkus scoring with like no time left. There's Eddie Blinkus is a throwback name. He is the most Jersey human being I've ever met, I think. There's so many good memories. I mean, it's such an amazing group. Those guys, you know, in my wedding, you know, of like the 7 groomsmen, 6 of them were all Lynchburg guys, and just such special memories and friends, guys I talk to every single day. It's hard to pick one or two.
Yeah, I think that's, I mean, we talk about this all the time, Francis and I, but that's the beauty of the sport and the beauty of like just playing at the college level. You do everything together. Every single thing you do is together, and you all share this bond over something that, you know, sports are emotional. And when you share a bond over something emotional, usually some really great things happen, even if you don't end up getting the end result of the positive emotion. You still end up forming these unbelievable lifelong bonds. And maybe you start a podcast when you're 35 years old with your roommate from college. You never know. That's
what it's all about.
I want to know
every
something.
day.
Go for it.
Sorry, no, go ahead, Francis.
I was just going to ask you, I wanted to hear about Coach Hirsch. You know, who is Coach Hirsch, you know, circa the Lynchburg years?
He was the players coach. I mean, Coach Kudelka, and I think admittingly is this like 6'6", skinny, fearful person who just like, you make a mistake, you are scared of what is going to happen to you, right? And you go to Coach Hirsch, make a mistake, he's going to tap you on the butt, be like, make the next one. I'll never forget, Pat Oram wore a hat inside, and you were not allowed to wear a hat inside any building on campus. That was like one of the 25 rules that we had. And I remember we were just doing like 6-on-6 offense versus defense, and Coach just like kept like Pat dodge 1-on-1 every single time because he knew that he wore a hat. He caught him wearing a hat inside, and he just kept running. And then he made Pat do like a sprint from like GLE to the midfield line and then go right back in. And Pat had to go 1-on-1 again. And it happened like 6 times. I remember Pat coming over to the sideline and looking at Coach Hirsch being like, why is he doing this to me? Like, what is happening? Like, how many more of these do I have to do? And he was just right there. He was like rubbing his shoulders. He's like, you're good. You got the next one. Make the next play. Like, he was just the guy that you could go to. You know that he was going to have something positive to say, even though you probably made a bad play. And he was just super energetic and positive and an unbelievable mind. I think that Dylan Hoff, who's now one of the assistants at Gettysburg, is one of the guys I think of who has like an incredible offensive mind. And I think that if you asked him, he would tell you that he got a lot of those qualities from Coach Hirsch and a lot of those ideas and concepts from him.
Let me tell you, the hat rule is so familiar because I lived it playing for Coach Hirsch too. I lived that life, and I always wonder where he got it from, and now I know, Josh.
And now I'm sitting here inside the hat on.
Yep.
All of us.
Right. We're all wearing hats.
There we go.
Well,
I just can't let Coach Kudelka get this link, otherwise we're all
Yeah.
going to be touching the tree out of the practice room.
I will say this, that those are really nice sentiments. I will say this, I'm sure some of the guys that play for me now or in the past few years might disagree with you very much. But I would say that Pat Oram story, I remember it like it was yesterday. And the truth of the matter was I had no idea why Coach Kudelka was upset with him. I had no clue. I didn't know I wasn't in the cafeteria when it all went down. I had no idea what the problem was. And I was legit trying to figure it out at practice. So I'm watching him like, he doesn't seem like he's playing that bad. I wonder what happened, you know? And I had no clue. So my only choice was to say to Pat, like, hey man, I don't know what you did wrong, but you better do something right here.
We're going to get through this.
Yeah, we're going to get through it. that's what this is all about. That's what sports is all about. Just making memories and hopefully reflecting on them later and having a laugh or a cry or a smile. It's the best part.
When you get to make a career out of it, Josh, it's probably a little bit sweeter, right?
Yeah, totally. I feel very lucky that I get to, touch the sport almost every single day between IL and then coaching here in Baltimore as well. It is
Nice.
when I think about it, it's way too much and I need to take a break, I think. But it is, it's fun. Like the business of the sport is a really cool part of it that you never really learn as a player. And that part has been really fun to kind of dive in head first into.
What do you, and I don't even know what the real question here is, but I feel like somebody that works for a publication that is right at the forefront of everything that's happening in the game, are you seeing trends that maybe we don't see, or are you privy to any information that you could share about just lacrosse in general, or what you see happening on the back end in tournaments, like anything like that?
Yeah, it's so funny because there's so many different kind of like silos, right? There's like the college game and the analytics side, and then there's I work with a lot of the manufacturers, right? The endemic brands that kind of work and play in the sport, and then we also run events. That's how I got my start, was just like kind of running events and building relationships with club coaches, trying to get them to come into our events. We kind of launched our event brand in 2014. It's such a unique time with COVID. From like the sports business side, so many manufacturers are getting crushed just because there wasn't a college season, right? If this pandemic had started a little bit earlier and we missed football and basketball season, we're able to have some semblance of a college season, I think it'd be a lot different. But you have these brands who are, lacrosse is still a growing sport, and, not selling hundreds and hundreds of thousands of sticks and heads and arm pads and gloves and stuff.
Right.
So without a college season, without a high school season, with a kind of altered summer season,
Right.
Retailers aren't buying as much from manufacturers. So I think you're starting to see now, I see a lot of my conversations now coming back a little bit, but I think that you saw a lot of layoffs, at least in the industry, for a lot of, manufacturers and stuff like that, which sucks, but it's starting to come back. And I'm hopeful that a lot of these businesses kind of have, other parts of their business that have not been as impacted, right? Like Warrior is owned by New Balance. New Balance is obviously going to be fine. STX has field hockey. They have other sports. There's other, some of these brands that have True has like a huge golf side that I didn't know. So, they're all going to be fine. But, just kind of, there's a new energy, I feel like, and now that it's 2021 and there's going to be a game played hopefully tomorrow, right? Denver's supposed to play Utah tomorrow. So I think there's a lot of fingers crossed that happens. I know there was some COVID testing and stuff, and hopefully that's still going on. But yeah, I mean, it's ever changing. That's the one thing. I mean, as an event operator, you have to bring something different to the table every single time. And you have to be so different and differentiated. You have to be so consistent in like your organizational ways and what makes you special. Because there's just so many events, and they go from operators like us who are a media company that's owned by, a billionaire. And then you have mom and pop events, and you have a lot of club guys running events. So it is so hard to stay up to speed on what is going on a day-to-day basis. You can't not be on the phone, 5 to 7 days a week, and be able to make decisions that are impactful, because it's constantly changing.
Let's do it, Josh. How has it shifted? How do you feel like Inside Lacrosse has shifted? Just like, are you moving towards that more like digital presence, or how do you feel like you guys specifically are going to grow in the next 5 to 10 years, would you say?
Yeah, it's a really good question. Certainly, the way the world has consumed media has changed a lot. I think for us within the lacrosse industry specifically, we are constantly, like I alluded to earlier with like some of the events, you constantly have to reevaluate what you're doing, how you're doing it, and continue to pivot, because if you just stay down that lane, you become obsolete really, really quickly in lacrosse, because there's always something new. It's crazy for how few people play the sport, how fragmented it is, and how many manufacturers there are, and how many event operators there are. If you think, and how backwards a lot of things in the sport are. Like if you think about basketball, like you have basketball coaches paying for a book when they go to an AAU tournament. You have event operators in lacrosse paying coaches to come to their events. So it's unlike any other sport in, the club, youth AAU world. So for Inside Lacrosse, we're unique in that like there isn't another huge media entity in the sport, right? US Lacrosse is the NGB. Like there are ways in which we compete, but we work together a lot with them, because the end goal, the pie is only so big. So we need to find ways for a lot of the major players to collaborate, work together. I feel like there's been like the message has been pushed for quite some time now. And you're seeing the PLL has totally changed things. I think that They brought a lot of eyeballs from whether it be like, non-endemic brands. I mean, from a sales guy, from my standpoint, that's the thing that I'm most interested in is that, we do 60 million page views a year with like 4 million users, by far the biggest footprint digitally in media in the sport. They measure a lot of their metrics through social media, which is different. And just that, it can be just as impactful, but because of their investors and some of their capital and stuff like that, they're able to, go after some of these non-endemic brands that no one in the sport has been big enough really to get, right? NLL has their own relationships. So I'm always a big proponent of like, let's look at lacrosse as a whole. If we can all work together a little bit more, we can go out and get a Coca-Cola. We can go out and get a Subway and find ways that they can each use, parts of what each of us do really well, right? The PLL is awesome. The product is incredible. They're going to struggle to sell tickets still, I think. I think that's always going to be a problem, just because I don't think any kid wants to go sit. Even, I love to go to a Ravens game, but when it's pouring rain, I'll rather sit and watch it at home on my couch. Like, the people are just consuming everything so different, and that's why they've gone so social media driven. So for us, it's really finding ways to just like diversify our revenue streams, right? Like this summer or this spring, we had no college seasons. This is the first time for like our entire editorial staff in years where they've had Saturdays where they're not on a field. So we developed a, one of the questions we get asked most at Inside Lacrosse is, how do I get evaluated, right? Our rankings of players are some of the more sought after content that we produce. So we created this video evaluation platform where essentially you can pay to upload your video within our recruiting database, where you have a profile where it says your club team, the events you played in, your high school team, and links to a high school scoreboard that we have. And we have a list of college coaches who will evaluate you, and you'll be a 78 and where that falls versus a 94. And you can upload your film, and we'll do that for you to give you proactive feedback. And the hope is that now you're on our radar. So when we're picking, we picked the Under Armour All-America team, and we host a suite of individual events where we're inviting players to kind of get on our radar. But also we give constructive feedback as well. Like when you get to, it's hard to give it's easy to give a subjective, like, this guy's a 5, but a 5 to you, Francis, might be a 4 to Sean and a 3 to Jordan. So we're trying to use this more objective rating system. Like, does he dodge with his head up when as an attackman? When he gets to GLE, or does he get to 5 and 5, or how high up the field does he come on his dodges? Like, does he? I could go on and on for all this criteria. We use a lot of different coaches to build this. But essentially, talking about pivoting our business of like, all right, we weren't able to cover a college season. Our college scoreboard is probably the most influential single asset in the sport of lacrosse. That thing is a monster traffic getter for us. And we've added live stats this year and different stuff like that. So how do we continue to pivot, stay on the pulse of what's going on from a media standpoint, from a lacrosse standpoint, all those different things? It's hard. It's really, really hard. Our events team is constantly having to change what we do and think about how we do it differently. And for me, as like our sales director, constantly trying to get the pulse on what these brands want,
Well, and what's cool about what in this, your rating platform is, that's new to me. But it sounds like in your evaluation, you are reinforcing these foundational habits, what us old heads call playing the right way. Right. Yep. And so I think if you are, people are saying, well, that's too specific, or, we don't understand how you're making your rankings. If you can fall back on like, this is just how you play the game, I think totally. That's going to be a great piece to get people's buy-in.
Essentially you upload your film and it's like timestamped, like at 32 seconds you dodge and your head is down and the double team comes and you lose the ball. Like, it is very specific about like, This is why your rating is this, because of all these different things that happen in this specific game. So we don't accept highlights, because highlights are obviously just all great plays. It has to be a game film. And then we timestamp it out, and it's been great. I mean, it's definitely, we need to do a little more of the marketing push on our side, but the people who have utilized it, the feedback has been incredible so far.
Nice. Now, you mentioned there being, for a small sport, there's a ton of manufacturers. When I got into the sport, it was Brian, Warrior, STX, and that was pretty much it. Gate got in the game.
Whoa. Don't forget about Shamrock.
Shamrock, Strike with the helmets.
How dare you? How dare you?
And now there's
about Shamrock.
And now there's True. There is Epic. There's ECD. So what do you see from a sales director perspective when you're talking about how do how do I reach our consumer? How do I package the sport? What are some of these newer brands doing, new manufacturers doing to really help you out and introduce new and interesting content for IL?
Yeah, I think I literally had this conversation today. We work with IMG. They're actually like the sponsor of our recruiting database. And it's interesting when you work with more of like, it could be, I guess, delineated as like a non-endemic brand, right? They're not a manufacturer like inherent to the sport. But I love working with those brands because the way they think is so different, right? They're asking questions from like a pure marketing standpoint. So it's the lacrosse is like almost totally taken out of it. It is literally the analytics, the cost per click, the CPMs, all that stuff that is pure marketing. Like, this is how you buy ads on Google and Facebook. This is what we can do. For us, it's we used to think us to compete with like US Lacrosse Magazine, which is you're really competing against Facebook and Google. That's where all these brands are spending their money, is on Facebook and Google. So my argument always is that's awesome, but when you buy those profiles on Facebook and Google, you're making a lot of assumptions about that person, right? There's not like a lacrosse specific thing. It's like hockey and soccer and sports and maybe an affinity for other brands. When you come to Inside Lacrosse, you can make a lot less assumptions about who that consumer is, right? If they're coming to a website, it's either a player, it's mom and dad, it's a coach, it's grandma looking for the kid's name in the, her daughter or granddaughter's name in the rankings. You can make a lot less assumptions about who's visiting our site rather than some of the assumptions you would like to make about Google and Facebook. So, when it comes to them and what they, my job is literally to be a salesperson and advocate on behalf of Inside Lacrosse, but at the same time, be a really good listener. Not try to jam circles into squares. Like, these are what our core competencies are as a brand. I'm the one who knows our website and how our audience engages with our website and email platform and social and all that stuff better than anyone. How can I take what you're telling me? Let me build a package for you that checks the boxes in terms of your goals. And then this is what that is. And it's different for everyone. You know what I mean? I think that we're with a ton of people who are trying to just like get kids to register for their clubs. Like, I'm making up an example, like, Rock Lacrosse will advertise with us for clubs in PA, and we can like geo-target so that, ads are just served in Pennsylvania and stuff like that. And then there's Under Armour, who's just like trying to, have a ton of branding in your face, and they'll just buy millions of banner ads and stuff like that. So it's totally different. And marketers are just they're so savvy now. And because, to my point earlier about like creating your own content is such a high priority for these groups and populating their own social channels, we're constantly, like I said, pivoting to come up with new items that we think can be impactful and organic and authentic. I think that's what we try to say is we are the authentic voice of the sport, and let us kind of tell your story for you.
Love that. And I love the yeah, right.
Let's get to a game here. Yeah, Shawnee?
I'd like to play a game.
Stick pick?
I'd like to play a game. Yeah, let's do a little talking. So, again, with it being so cold here, Francis, it is cold here. My car wouldn't start today. So my actual stick is in my car. Don't have it on me. Good thing, though, I had all the sheets. So one of the first things I wanted to ask you, gentlemen, we're going to discuss for probably 8 minutes or so. I want to know, what led some of you guys to play a position, and how did you wind up playing the position you play? So we're going to put some time on the clock and really freestyle on this. Josh, you're up, sir. Tell me about your role and how you got to play what you ended up playing, your position.
So like how I got started to play attack. That's what you're asking me.
Yep.
I am not very athletic. I played point guard in basketball, in that like I could bring the ball down the court and give it to someone else, and I could shoot the three. And honestly, I played attack because I didn't like to run, and there was no one who wanted to play lefty attack. So I was like, all right, I'll just go to the left side and I'll suck for 2 years and I'll drop a lot of passes, but eventually my left hand will get a lot better. So I was always like the right-handed kid who ended up playing lefty attack on all of my like Reisterstown Rec Club teams. And it's funny because I never played. And then one of our neighbors was like, hey, you want to come try for this team? And like Marvin Lewis, who was the coach of the Bengals or a coach of the Ravens, but then was a coach of the Bengals later, like his kid on the team is this like AA Reisterstown team. And I scored a goal on my first day and I was like, all right, this is for me. My dad did not want me to play baseball anymore because he was tired of just like watching just grass grow. So yeah, so I just started playing like lefty attack as a right-handed attackman, and then eventually like in club, club ball happened. They were lefties. That was a thing. So like ended up moving to crease, and that was kind of it. Like I just on the guy. I don't think I took a shot in my entire career outside of like 6 yards.
I mean, that's amazing too, though. Everyone wants to play attack. I feel like I was stuck in midfield, but everyone wants to play attack,
Yeah, I mean, I guess I made it in that way. Like I was like a man up guy who literally just like tried to like throw a fake and dive at the goalie's feet and put it in the net. That was like literally my game. Inside roll
That's
without
awesome.
not to the island, coming back, and that was it.
That's too funny. Francis, what about you?
I was another baseball convert and got cut from the 6th grade baseball team, which is like really hard to do. And was crying, by the athletic area, and our athletic director at the time came by, this guy named Tim Walsh, who's an old Massachusetts guy. Always talked about Taba Academy. And so he saw me there and asked me what was wrong. I told him I just got cut from the baseball team. He goes, well, we're starting a new team, in a lacrosse team. And I was like, what? I had no idea what he was talking about at the time. But he's the guy that brought lacrosse to Dallas, Texas. That's where I grew up. So they were starting a program there. I was I have 7th grade team. I started in 7th grade. And so I didn't really have a choice. He was like, come down and get some equipment. So he hands me a bucket helmet, an old school bucket helmet, hands me a pair of L33s, Brian L33s, hands me a pair of mismatching STX royal blue arm pads, would have been great for Hen Hud, and hands me a long stick and says, here you go. And so I had no idea. I just took it. I went out to the field. They told me where to go, and that's where it was. I was an athletic kid. I played everything under the sun, wrestling, baseball, swimming, football, soccer, all of it. And so it was just a really incredible playing lacrosse and being able to bring all those skills and traits and competencies into play. And, I was sort of your textbook raw defender for quite a long time until I got to college. And then I made an effort to hone my my offensive skills with Coach Hirsch. And so then I started being a little bit more of an offensive threat at that point.
I mean, okay, so I'm going to pose this question. It's pretty easy to understand why I chose to play offense. Like, who when they're in 5th or 6th grade says, you know what, I think I'm going to go and not score goals. Like in any sport.
Smart man.
I grew up on basketball, right? So you follow the people who make plays with the ball. That's, like I just wanted to play lacrosse the way Allen Iverson played basketball. I wanted to play the way, John Stockton played basketball. I wanted to basically be a point guard just with a lacrosse stick, because I realized really quickly that I was not going to end up getting the height gene from my dad. So lacrosse was this cool game that, had all different body types, and there was a place for me, at least looking at it from that younger lens. So you guys, I don't know if you agree or not, but when you first start playing, I think everybody in some way in their mind, unless you're like a big kid, like if you're a big young kid, it's a little more natural to say, oh, well, he's a defenseman because he's big, Now maybe not, though. Now maybe not. I think maybe back then, definitely. But like now, I feel like if a kid's like, I'm playing offense, and he happens to be like a 6'1" 7th grader, they'll be like, yeah, do it. If you can do it, do it. But for me, the big thing was like, I wanted to make plays with the ball. I wanted to copy the guys I watched in the NBA, because like we've talked about a million times, it was hard to find a lacrosse game on TV.
You're not trying to be like Tristan Thompson, right? That's not like the game you want to embody. You're not trying to be like this tall power forward who's just setting picks and not rolling to the basket.
No. I'm not a pick and pop guy. I'm the guy handling the ball.
I think one of the more interesting dynamics too is like the first thing a lot of people get into is having a short stick, right? And then when you're in like 4th, 5th, 6th grade, people see long poles for the first time. They're like, oh my God, the big stick. Like I want to play with that. Like I want to use that. I want to whack people with that. And then that's kind of where the split happens, right? Like everybody's running around in 3rd, 4th grade with a short stick, but then you see people with the long pole and you're like, maybe I want to try that, or maybe I want to go there. I started on defense, was not a fan, and then quit and played baseball. Came back to lacrosse out of pure boredom for baseball.
The reverse commute.
So lost a couple. Yeah, reverse commute. Lost a couple of years there. But it was the best decision I made at that time. It made sense. It made a lot of sense.
So would anyone go back and change what they did? Would anybody go back and be like, I'd rather play? No?
Absolutely
no.
I would have stuck with lacrosse probably, but what are you gonna do?
By the time I figured out what a long stick midi was, and I was like, I could whack people and I can score goals, I was like, done. That's a wrap.
But it's funny how it's changed so much too, to your point earlier, Jordan, about like, being like, I feel like even in 2009, when I was a freshman at Lynchburg, you think about the middies who were in Division I, it was like John Rannigan, these big downhill, even in Lynchburg, like Matt Manzo, Rooster Wilfong, like those aren't the midfielders anymore in college lacrosse. They're like much more shifty, back and forth. It's like much more east-west and not as many like lower your head, dodge the alley and bang it behind the goal. The game has changed so much just in the last 8 years, I feel like.
You're 100% right. And, it's funny. My thought was like, I wanted to play offense. Like when I was a kid, I wanted to play offense. It wasn't like attack or midi. I just wanted to make sure I had an opportunity to play offense. And I want to say I probably started out as a midi because everybody plays everything, but when you're a kid, you're like, I'm a midi. Like you want to be able to tell somebody what position you are. But offense for sure. I've tried long stick out. I was decent. No?
Another question I wanted to pose to you guys, especially for Josh being a hoops guy. I kind of wanted to talk about hoops. So a basketball player you think would be good at lacrosse. Josh, I don't know if you're a Wizards guy with what's going on down there. Brad Beal, your boy Russell Westbrook. It's
funny. Yeah.
It's a lot going on down there.
Well, it's funny you went there. I being in Baltimore, it's like, we have the Ravens, which is awesome, but it's really hard to find allegiance to a basketball team. So I've always watched the Wizards, going back to like, the Gilbert Arenas days and Michael Jordan, even when he was there. But when I met my wife, she was like, she's from Philly. She was like, you got to pick one Philly team. And this was like right as the trust the process kind of era was happening. And I was like, all right, I'm looking for a new basketball team. I'll hop on the Sixers. I've been rewarded for that now because now like Embiid is a front runner for MVP. They figured it out now, right? With Daryl Morey, they're vibing. But to your Wizards point, I feel like John Wall would be an incredible like ex-attackman, right? He just drives to the hoop so hard, right? Such good change of direction. They have their nice little like 4-0 run. The Rockets have been going on right now. They're figuring it out as well. So I think I immediately went to John Wall when you said the Wizards thing, which is funny because I despise Russell Westbrook as well. He's like one of my least favorite athletes of all time. I don't know why.
That is hilarious.
Wow.
I don't know why I don't like him because I feel like he'd also probably he'd be just a ball hog probably in lacrosse. He'd just be like Vic Curran. That's what I picture him as for the Lynchburg references. He's Vin Curran. But yeah, I feel like John Wall would just be like an awesome slasher from X, getting to the island with your head up and just finding like the BTB. Maybe he's like Jordan Hirsch at the island. You know what I mean? With his head up, he can find the the cutter. He can skip it to the backside, but he goes super hard. He's kind of like Jordan Wolfe a little bit, I think, in that way too. That's how I envision his game.
You just put me and Jordan Wolfe in the same sentence. We're not paying
above GLE. Above GLE.
I'm there. I'm right there. I see it.
Yeah, that's like maybe post-collegiate me if you're thinking about me like that, where I'm just there's nothing to lose. I'm all confidence at that point.
That's all he knows.
Yeah. What do you got, Francis? What basketball player you think would be a good lacrosse player?
I'm gonna stay true. I'm a Dallas guy. I'm gonna stay true with Luka Doncic.
Interesting.
Boy, Luka. And honestly, as I was thinking about it and processing it, Luka, he's big, but he's so crafty. And I think of our boy from Nazareth, Ryan Hotelling.
Okay.
A guy who you can't tell which hand he is. He will lean into you on either island. He is going to put the ball in the net in the weirdest ways, but you're not going to be able to stop him. And I think that that's Luka's game. And I see him working around 5-5, just sort of like imposing his will on people, great vision, making skip passes from low to high, and just being a guy that puts the ball in the net and has some range. Is
he more of like a physical?
Oh, he's got range.
Is he more physical? Like, is this like a more of a Matt Rambo comparison, or is this like more shiftier than Matt Rambo?
It's like shifty and physical at the same time. Like Rambo's going to put his shoulder into your chest on his way there. Like Luka's going to lean on you, and then he's going to let you lean on him, and then he's going to use that leverage to like slip underneath, kind of like that. I'm sure Rambo does a little bit of that. No disrespect to Matt Rambo.
Not as much finesse. More finesse.
Yeah.
Less finesse for Rambo. Yeah.
Less Philly, more Eastern Europe.
Well, I want to add too, Ryan, our friend Ryan, who was Attackman of the Year in 2005 in Division III, I think a 3-time All-American. He was recruited to Nazareth to play basketball. So yeah. he was planning on playing basketball, and then met the lacrosse team and decided not to play basketball. And that was not, it didn't have as much to do with the basketball team as it did with the lacrosse team. But two of our best players when we were in college and best friends were excellent basketball players, Chad Amadon and Ryan Hotowing, and they played lacrosse like they played basketball. So I do think this is a really interesting game, because there's so many basketball players where if they put in that much time to lacrosse skill, where the athleticism was the same and the skill level was the same as it was basketball, you're looking at a totally different sport. We're not even playing the same game at that point.
Who do you got? Quit stalling.
Man, I could say a bunch of people. Wouldn't it be fair to say Steph? Wouldn't Steph be a really
make your
good
case?
one?
What would he play?
Make your case.
What would he play?
What position?
So Steph could definitely be an attackman based on his handle, right? So in basketball, it's ability to beat someone off the dribble. In lacrosse, it would be ability to beat somebody off the dodge. He can stretch the field. He can shoot it from the restraining box. And he can beat somebody and make a good decision with the ball, especially with the way the game is now. What is everybody doing on offense? Playing two-man game on the sides of the field, in the corners, in that razor area, the razor pick. All the stuff that I wish I knew at 24 at Lynchburg now is happening now, and I love it. And it's so basketball-esque. And Steph would be able to operate in that really well. I will also say, if you don't say LeBron James, we have to say it. We have to say LeBron. He's a defenseman. Yeah, I think he could be like a LSM, because in transition you can't stop him.
Yeah, true.
You can't stop him. So, and he has to get the ball in his hands.
Josh doesn't agree.
No, I do agree. I'm literally imagining LeBron James going for a ground ball when I go for a ground ball, and just totally hitting the brakes, and like
that's when you started shaking your head.
Get me a sub. Yeah, I'm out for that. I'm not into that idea.
What?
Let me throw this out there. Alex Caruso.
Ooh, interesting.
Thoughts? Short sticky midi.
Right.
Wow.
Yes, Josh.
He's a glue guy. Glue guy.
Yeah,
you're right.
Absolutely. In between the lines, going to pick up every ground ball, going to make the right play in transition.
Yep.
Don't throw the ball down the side.
Wow.
I love this conversation so much. We talk about this in our office all the time. We have like an Inside Lacrosse league pass thing that like 4 or 5 of us use. We actually, in our office, we're right in Inner Harbor. There's like a gym above the Phillips, and we get access to it. And there's like a small basketball court. And myself, Terry, our CEO, and then Patrick McEwen, who's Lax Film Room on Twitter. He's most famous for that. And then Dan Kaplan, who's a kind of a Lynchburg guy, a York guy. Before the pandemic, we played like 2 or 3 times a week. And we talk about doing a podcast that is like our starting 5 NBA players for lacrosse all the time. So this is just like, it's perfect. I love this conversation.
Chef's kiss. Shout out to my sister with the chef's kiss. She says,
I'm glad, listen, Josh, I'm glad you picked John Wall. He is so underrated of a player, just with his ability, and just in college, how explosive he was. He's so underrated. Jordan, I'm surprised I didn't say Emmanuel quickly, honestly, or any other Knicks player.
I didn't want to be a homer. I'm like such a homer with the Knicks. How many games has the kid played? He's awesome. Don't get me wrong.
Dropped 31 the other night.
That's
Could be a
awesome.
guy.
Steph does that with his left hand in his sleep. You're not gonna say Emmanuel Quick.
We're working there.
I'm
Francis,
sorry.
oddly
I'm
enough,
sorry.
too, you know what I heard about youth players in Dallas? So any sport, right? So I was talking to someone through work who said 77 is one of the most popular numbers in youth athletics now in Dallas because of Luka, because of his influence.
Yeah.
So just funny enough.
Last word. I'm saying
Ray Bork's like, guys, come on.
Gentlemen, it's that time again. We're going to get into our snake in the draft. And this week I kept a little bit more open-ended, right? So we're not going to limit ourselves to 9 because I want to hear from you, gentlemen, yet again. So this is something, again, we haven't had a lot of it, with COVID going on. But once this ends, I want to know from you guys a city in the U.S. that you really want to visit. So we're going to have 3 cities. Just try and think of that. Or maybe one you've already been to, but you love and you'd want to go back. We're going to start with Josh. Then we're going to go to Francis, Jordan for 2 picks, back to Francis, Josh twice, et cetera, et cetera. We will not get caught in the snake this time, I hope. But Josh, start us off, sir. A city you'd love to go to in the U.S. that you've maybe yet to be to, or you'd love to go back.
Yeah, I feel lucky in that work. I do get to go to a lot of places. I think the one place that I have not been to that I am very eager to go to is Nashville. I've never been to Nashville. I know there's a lot of like bachelor and bachelorette parties there. I've never been. I've never been there. I'm a big country music guy as well. I'm a big 93.1 here in Baltimore, avid listener. So between like the bars, just the vibe down there, I feel like I've heard just incredible stories of people just having an awesome time. I feel like on Instagram, I always see these like bachelor and bachelorette parties on those like joint like bicycle things where there's like a DJ in the middle and they're just like drinking and stuff. Just looks like it's a good time from what I can tell.
The booze bike.
Yep.
Yeah, the booze bike. Yeah, that's exactly right. So yeah, I'll go with I'll kick this thing off with Nashville, as I've never been there before.
Francis and I had
next.
We had a pretty good. I've gone to Nashville a bunch. My sister lives there. Francis and I, when we went there, my sister actually got bat mitzvahed as an adult. And that's something we should mention this too. When Josh was playing, him and our good friend Jeff Schwartz, all of our good friends, Jeff Schwartz, we all used to do the night of Hanukkah together down in Lynchburg. Nice. So that was another thing that really, I think, bonded us.
We did a nice Passover Seder as well.
Yes, we did. We did Passover. So
your loft.
Yes, that's right. That was awesome. That was a great night.
Probably a first of its kind in Lynchburg, Virginia.
It might have been. It might have been. Yeah. So at any rate, we went down to Nashville and had a pretty decent time. So I would highly suggest.
Yeah,
I love it.
I'm gonna go with this may come as a surprise, but Montrose, New York.
No. Wait, I thought it was you hadn't been there.
Let's go. No, it could be you visited there too. Okay. Yeah, somewhere you're looking forward to going back to Montrose.
New York.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
Montrose, New York is 10548.
That's right.
This is zip code. Home of Jordan Hirsch and segment Sean Tandy. Wayne, I don't know what town Wayne lives in exactly.
Wayne lives in
Montrose too?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wayne lives in Montrose.
Mm-hmm. When I think of home these days, that is the place. It's where Jordan grew up, where Wayne grew up. Sean lives right up the street as well. And Montrose Deli is right down the road. That's where the family is, right. In Avelinos. And, so I probably should have been there twice by now had it not been for the pandemic. So I'm looking forward to getting back and seeing my people in person.
We can't wait to get you. Yeah, we can't wait to get you back.
It's going to be great. Funny enough, I'm the only one. Well, Jordan, Croton, Montrose.
Yeah, Croton.
I grew up in Peekskill. Oddly enough, Josh, we're bringing this all together. You're a Sixers guy, pseudo. Sixers GM, Elton Brand, is a Peekskill guy. Wayne dunked on him in a high school basketball game.
Wow.
Yes.
Pretty outrageous.
Yes.
It's a small world. We're bringing it all back. Insane. Wayne
Some of those
hanging
places
on the rim backwards, apparently, we hear.
Some of those places you guys are just naming, I don't know any of them. They sound like they could be towns in like Lord of the Rings, like Middle Earth.
Like, you know what's oddly enough too. I could talk about Peekskill forever. There was like an old military academy in Peekskill, and the guy who wrote The Wizard of Oz wrote it about Peekskill, New York.
Interesting. So, I'm a big Wizard of Oz, of Oz guy.
Okay.
Great movie.
I like The Wizard of Oz. Big fan.
Again, we're getting off track, but this is what we do. It's good combo. Jordan, over to you. You have back-to-back picks, sir.
Okay, so my first pick is going to be Honolulu, Hawaii. I so badly in the United States, so one place I would love to go is Honolulu. I would love to go to Hawaii. It's just something I've had on my radar for a long time, and it hasn't worked out, and hopefully it will one day. I'm not confident it will, but I hope that it will. And my other pick, I will go sentimental as well, San Diego. I've never been to California. And
Wow.
yeah, I've never been to California. I really want to go. I actually probably, like Francis said, I probably would have been out there at least once had this pandemic not happened. I actually was not going to plan on coaching lacrosse this past spring and take a little hiatus from it. And during spring break, that was going to be my first ever like personal spring break trip to
spring break
to San Diego to see the big man. But I didn't get the chance, but I'm looking forward to getting that chance.
I just want to make sure you know that.
I was going to say, it was going to be on my list too. I've been there a few times, and it is, if I didn't feel the obligation to stay close to family, I would 100% be doing this video call very much closer to Francis than you guys. Because that place is incredible. I would like be a janitor and live in San Diego. Like it is
which is oddly awesome. What a lot of people do. Or
be that close to the beach, and I'm all about it.
I just want to make sure that Jordan knows that Honolulu is not where Lululemon is headquartered.
It's not.
And so, okay.
I didn't know if
that was why you wanted to go.
I honestly, it was part of it, but now.
Where is it? Is it? It's in Canada, right?
Vancouver.
It's in Vancouver, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Too funny. Francis, you are up, sir.
I got one. I feel like the only big city in the United States that I have not been to is Seattle, Washington.
Wow. Reading my mind right now.
I'll put it on the list just because I haven't been there. And I feel like I've been everywhere else. So Seattle, what do you got for me? What do you got? Shout out Sean.
Great place. Good call. Josh, you have back-to-back picks, sir.
It's interesting because I probably would have gone San Diego, Seattle as my back-to-back pick. So I'm a little SOL here.
Let's go together.
I think Seattle is super cool too. Let me think. I think that I'm good. I'm good with the East Coast. I think I have been to Dallas for an event before, and Dallas was awesome. It was really cool. The food was incredible. The barbecue was incredible. We went out. I'm trying to think where we went out. I guess I went to. I've been down to the Star in Frisco. Is that close? That's closer to Dallas than it is any other major city, right?
That's a suburb of Dallas. Yep.
Was awesome. Was super, super cool. We had an event. We covered like an adrenaline event that was at the Star down there, and that was super cool. So yeah, I feel like we stayed at like an insane Omni hotel. It was awesome. So yeah, I feel like I would go back to Dallas.
If you go back to Dallas, we're gonna hook you up with our buddy Jamie Baker, who used to work for Adrenaline here in San Diego. He lives down there. He'll show you a good time. We gotta get you down. We gotta get you downtown.
I look forward to meeting you, Jamie Baker.
There you go. Josh, you got another pick. Where are you going? And it could be somewhere you've been before too. We won't limit you.
I'm gonna pander a little bit here, and I'm gonna say Scranton, Pennsylvania, home of Dunder Mifflin.
Let's go.
Even though I'm sure 0% of that show was actually filmed in Scranton. I would love to see some of the staples of where Michael Scott and where Jim and Pam met and fell in love. I think that would be a sentimental trip for me as an avid. I don't know if those does it right. An avid office goer. I haven't gotten Peacock yet, so I'm just crushing Comedy Central.
Yes.
But that is one thing that keeps the Lynchburg guys together. I think I get a text almost every day from like Chase Loads, Dave Yankin, Jeff. That is just because Comedy Central, it's just on Comedy Central all day. It's nonstop. So I'll throw that out there as a little bit of a random but sentimental one.
That's awesome.
Makes sense. For the listeners out there or viewers out there that don't know any of the names that he just said, just understand that The Office is a bonding agent for college age kids that will take them through their 30s. That will happen.
Office, Parks and Rec's in there too.
Parks and Rec, yes. But honestly,
good show.
When I think of Parks and Rec, I think of you and Chase because you guys quote that a lot.
Chase is the only, like, he's like the one guy that I talk to every single day just because we're the closest. He's like one of the Lynchburg guys that's the closest. So he just bought a house down at Sabrina Park and we just saw it. He's the man. He's getting married this year. I'm so excited for that wedding. He's the best.
Mazel tov, Chase. Mazel tov. Yeah, great kid. Awesome guys. Great guys.
Francis, you are up again.
Am I up?
Sir.
I'm gonna go Foxborough, Massachusetts. Why, you might ask?
I know why.
Because that's the home of what hopefully will be this year's men's lacrosse and women's lacrosse Final Four. I'm sure in some capacity. And my girlfriend Samantha, who is expecting right now, is also from Western Massachusetts, from Springfield. So it would be a great opportunity to not only watch some great lacrosse, but get her home to see her family as well. So I really hope that we'll have the opportunity to actually, no, we probably won't, because she'll probably be giving birth the next week. So
yep. You're not going.
That's
I'm like
99%
sure. I think the Final Four is in Connecticut this year too, so I don't think you'll be there.
It's in Connecticut
as well. I think it's at Rentschler Field in East Hartford. Yeah, but
when did that change?
2022. Then there you go, Francis. So now you can go.
I think it's back there.
There you go.
All right.
The wrap.
Well,
I take my pick back. I want to go to. Let's go
East
to
Hartford,
Kansas City. Oh man, we'll go to Charlotte. We'll go see Gibbons. We'll go see everybody.
There you go. Cool city too, from what I've heard.
Yeah,
Charlotte. Jordy.
I'm
gonna
they
stay in Rochester, Charlotte.
Charlotte.
I picked 2 warm weather places, so I'm gonna go with Chicago. Never been to Chicago.
Oof.
Think I've laid over there once.
Brisk.
It's
brisk.
I would go in the summer. I would just really like to see Chicago. My wild card pick though, San Antonio. That's my Western Conference team.
Wild card.
That's my Western Conference team. I would go to see a Spurs game. Knicks for sure, but Spurs my Western Conference team. I think
they play at other people's stadiums though. You could go there.
Yeah, I know, but home game.
Got to see Pop in his element.
I want to see Pop in his prime. Yeah. That's it.
Makes sense.
For sure.
Gentlemen, another great snake. We didn't get caught this time. And it was great. Josh, it was awesome having you on, sir. It was great being able to talk with you. And we appreciate you taking the time to hang with us tonight.
No, man, I'm telling you, this was, when Jordan texted me earlier this week, I was super fired up about this. Like I said, it's especially the dad life. I don't have, in a COVID world, I don't have many eventful stuff to look forward to on a Friday night. So this was, hopefully you'll have me back, so I have something else to look forward to here shortly. But no, this is awesome, and getting to meet you guys and just talking, just kind of hanging out. I feel like we're sitting on the couch having some beers, just hanging out. So I'm always in for that. So I appreciate you guys.
Yeah, well, we appreciate what you do and everybody at Inside Lacrosse for, and I'm actually really excited to get the print version of that magazine, because I used to have stacks and stacks of old magazines, and just such a great way to spread the game, to keep print media alive, and the way that you guys are working to reinvent and diversify your portfolio in the game of lacrosse is only going to pay dividends for the future. So we appreciate you. Keep it up.
Love it. Appreciate that. We need more guys like you guys to keep this thing going. So keep buying. Buy next time. Buy 2 subscriptions next time. How about that?
Fair enough. Okay.
Thanks, Josh. You're the man, dude.